let's make my TBR videos a little more exciting.
Turning pages, keep turning those pages. Time flies when you've been reading for ages.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I made these fun cards with different reading prompts on them to add an element of surprise and hopefully entertainment to my TBR videos. If you don't care about where this idea come from or seeing all of the prompts / artwork in the deck, I will put a time on the screen where the actual TBR itself starts. This idea was inspired by TBR videos like Becca's Bookopoly and someone who did a Trivial Pursuit inspired TBR game. And I was trying to figure out how to turn my favorite board game into a TBR game, but my favorite board game is Clue, so I couldn't figure out a way to make that work. And one day, while watching tarot card readings on YouTube for some reason, it came to me. TBR cards. And since I actually have a weird obsession with making my own card games, in fact, the characters on the TBR cards are actually characters I invented in my own original battle type card game. This is the card game. Which is why some of the illustrations might seem a little bit random when combined with the reading prompt. And that is the long rambling backstory that you did not ask for. So how does it work? It's kind of like a tarot card reading, except for instead of predicting your future, it gives different reading prompts. I'll go through the prompts real quick, just so you know what the options are, and to explain some of the ones that have multiple meanings. First we have read a retelling / fairy tale inspired story. And this is a kitsune, a nine-tailed fox from Japanese mythology, so I thought it was kind of fitting for the fairy tale idea. And for this prompt, it doesn't have to be a straight-up retelling. It can be anything that uses the idea of fairy tales. For example, The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert, which has a book of fairy tales in it, not classic Grimm's fairy tales, but the author's own inventions. The Grimm Legacy, which is about a girl who finds different objects from different fairy tales and has to do something related to that. And then another example is Beauty and the Beast Lost in a Book, which is kind of a step removed from the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. It's based off of the magical book in the live-action adaptation of Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the one with Emma Watson, and the magical book in that. And it's a new story about the magical book in the adaptation of a fairy tale. So not a direct Beauty and the Beast story itself, but like inspired by Beauty and the Beast. And just those are some few examples of not actual retellings, but just fairy tale themed books. I realize my fan is on. I apologize for the noise. I will turn that off. Read a book with magic. I probably don't have to explain this one, but it can be a fantasy book or anything with just a tiny fantastical element, or even a fantasy sci-fi hybrid. Read a book from a new author, so this can be a debut author, a popular author's debut novel, or just an author that I've never read before. Read something ocean / water themed. So this could be something that takes place in the ocean, like about mermaids, something that takes place on a boat or ship, something that takes place by a beach or by a lake. If the characters spend time in or near the water, it fits the prompt. Read a book set in another world. This can be fantasy or sci-fi. It can be on another planet, or portal fantasy with someone traveling from one world to another. Most likely fantasy, but you know, it doesn't have to be. That's why I didn't put like fantasy specifically. And give an author a second chance. This is to read a book from an author that I've read before and not really loved the book, but I'm still open to trying something else from them. And then the ones that don't really need an explanation at all is read something romance focused, read an anticipated release. This doesn't have to be one that just came out. This could be something that I was anticipating when it came out and then didn't get around to. But it doesn't really need to be explained. Even though I explained it anyway, because that's just me. Read a manga / graphic novel. Continue a series. Read a book with vampires. I have a lot of books with vampires on my shelf for some reason, so I created that prompt. And I actually drew that character just for that prompt. Read a middle grade book. Start a new series and read a book with a female protagonist. This one is kind of like a joke that I made for this card because 80 to 90% of the books I read usually have a female protagonist. Not really sure why, that's just the books that catch my attention. As you can tell, all of these prompts are purposely very open-ended, so I don't end up being stuck with a book that I don't actually feel like reading. I can be a very picky reader depending on my mood, but I still thought this would be a fun way to do a TBR. And I obviously also had some specific books on my shelf in mind when I created these prompts. Let's get to the TBR already. Let's shuffle these and see what I get. You can't really shuffle these because they're so stiff because of the layers of paper and laminating, so this is like a messy way to shuffle. That's probably enough. I'm going to just do 4 cards for this month. That's roughly a book a week with a little bit of wiggle room because I don't want to stress myself out too much. So, let's see. Read a book with magic. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, happy about that. Read a book with vampires. Read something romance-focused. And read a middle grade book. Interesting. That's what the cards have in store for me. Okay, so I also actually want to participate in Spooktober this October, which is a Halloween event created by Vanessa from Paper Fairy that includes a readathon in addition to other fun Halloween-themed events. So I'm going to take a minute to figure out what books that I have that can fit my prompts and the Spooktober prompts. I'll put the Spooktober prompts on the screen right now, and I'll be right back with my choices. Okay, I have deliberated and now I'm back. So, first one was to read a book with magic. So I am choosing Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I have had this in my TBR cart for a while and really, it just has never fit any bookish prompts, like ever. So this does have magic in it. It's like, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I'm hoping it's good because her writing is really good. There's a prompt in Spooktober that is also read a book with magic. That was not planned. I actually did make these TBR cards well before the Spooktober announcement even came out, so that's just a happy coincidence that the exact same prompt is on one of my cards. Okay, next was to read a middle grade book. So I chose Demigods and Magicians by Rick Riordan, a crossover between the Percy Jackson series and the Kane Chronicles series. And this fits 2 of the Spooktober prompts. Actually going to combine those, which is to read a book you think will make you laugh, because Rick Riordan always makes me laugh, and a book based on folklore/mythology. Perfect, because it's about Greek and Egyptian mythology. The next one was to read something romance-focused, so I chose Wedding Night by Sophie Kinsella, which is a adult romance comedy type book, so this also fits the book you think will make you laugh. And this fits the Spooktober prompt to read a romance. And the final prompt was to read a book with vampires. So I actually have 2 choices for this because I'm not sure what I'll feel like reading directly in the moment. But I have Lords of Misrule, which is Morganville Vampires number 5. I'm currently reading book 4, so it depends how I feel when I finish book 4, if I want to break from the series or if I want to jump into the next one. And then I also have Libremancer by Jim C Hines, which is a book about people who can like take things out of books, and a vampire comes out of a book and starts attacking people. So I'm very excited about this one because I feel like the magic in this sounds really, really cool. Okay, so this actually fits a couple of prompts as well. Both of these do. To read a book with a monster in it, so vampires are monsters. This also apparently has a fire spider that is a good fire spider, his friend, so interesting. And they both have faces on the covers, so that also fits another Spooktober prompt. I really appreciate Vanessa from Paper Fairy, not me, I'm not talking about myself in third person. That would be weird. The other booktube Vanessa for creating such open-ended prompts that aren't like weirdly specific. Because that way I could do this and it was actually pretty easy. So those are the books I will be attempting to read in October. We'll see how this all goes, because some of these are pretty big. But this one I feel like is going to be a very fast read despite being like 350 pages, because I fly through Sophie Kinsella's books. So those are my reading plans for October. Please give this video a thumbs up if you think the TBR cards are as fun as I do. Let me know what book you're most excited to read in October and what BookTube Halloween events you'll be doing, if any. And I will see you next time. Bye!